John Lee. I'm presently from Lewis, Delaware. I was in the 45th Division, and I was a member of I Company, the 157th Infantry. And I was born and raised in Wilmington, Delaware. I went into the service in 1944. I was one of the young guys, and went overseas in December 44. Joined the 45th Division. I Company really was 157th in January at Reaper Squadron, and stayed with them through the end of the war, and then came back, sent back to the States, and I spent some time at Fort Army headquarters until I was discharged in early 1946.
Now, we'll get into where you were in Germany and things like that. Now, your name, sir. Your name?
Bill Walsh.
And when did you join the service?
I was in the National Guard in Massachusetts, Newton, Massachusetts, where I was born and raised. And I was in the National Guard since 1935. In January of 1941, the government inducted the YD into federal service. We were supposed to spend a year on federal duty, and at the end of the year we were going to be released, and they were going to bring in a brand new cadre for the Yankee Division. And as you know, our year was almost up in December the 7th when the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor. In my humble opinion, the stupidest thing they ever did as far as the military thing is concerned, because up until that time, pretty much the people in the United States didn't want to get involved in any of the war that was going on. But anyway, we were called out, and in December the 7th, they told us that they couldn't let us go home. We had to stay in the service. So they assigned us to shore duty all the way from Old Orchard Beach, Maine, on certain months or certain years, down to Kennebunkport, where one of the ex-presidents had a summer home. In these areas, we were patrolling beaches, had hotments in a lot of cases, and then we did a stint down on Cape Cod, and from there we went down to Watch Hill in Rhode Island, did a stint down there, and then out to the Rockaways in Long Island, and patrolled up through Jones Beach and those areas all the way to Amagansett. And there was a little activity in Amagansett we were not involved in. The Coast Guard actually captured those guys that were landed by submarine at Amagansett. So that was what was going on, and we were beginning to spend a lot of time guarding the beaches, and the war was going on. I had got hold of a thing called hay fever when we were in a camp out in Camp Campbell in Kentucky, and they sent me to a general hospital in Louisville, Kentucky. Well, I'm down in this hospital in Louisville, and they tested me all out, and they told me I was allergic to timothy hay and house dust and a couple other things like that. And I said, well, do you mind, can you send me to Alaska? Send me to Iceland. There are a lot of places I figured I could go to. I didn't even know what hay fever was. I didn't get it until I was really in the army. He said, oh no, of course, we can't do that. You'll have to go back in general duty. Well, in those days, you couldn't go back to your old outfit. They made you go to a rebel depot. They sent me down to one in Georgia. I think it was Camp Wheeler. And met a guy down there who had been in one of the old outfits in the YD and had gone over, they had formed a new division, and they called it the American Division. And he had gone with them, and they sent him overseas, and they had fought in Guadalcanal. And after his episode there, they sent him back to Fort Benning, and they made him a second lieutenant. And of course, being a vet and all that sort of stuff, I figured we got friendly, and I talked to him a lot about combat and what it was like and all that stuff. And I said to him one day, I said, kind of rough combat. He said, yeah, I'd rather be in combat than sitting here in this camp training new guys. And of course, I'd been doing that for 2 years, or 2.5 years. and we were never getting anywhere with the Army. They disapproved of our division, and we were down the, got on our bikes and went down the hill to the headquarters and told the provost that we wanted to go overseas. Matter of fact, he thought we might even miss football. But anyway, he said, absolutely, boys, no problem. Take you. By the way, so we're going to send you to Europe.
Let's stop right there and get the other gentleman.
No, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Then I'll come back because that's a perfect place to stop.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Just a minute. Go ahead, sir.
My name is Stephen Rochette. I'm from Clearlake, California. I went in service in 1941 under a draft, and after my basic training, I was assigned to Pine Camp, New York, where I joined a division, the 45th Division. As best I can remember, we went overseas in 1943 and made a brief stop over in Oran, Africa. I understood that time it was only for some brief maneuvers or orientation or something. Of course, the war down there was winding down, so we reloaded on board ship and headed for Sicily, where we invaded Sicily. And I was stayed in the, I was in an artillery section of the division. We were a supporting unit for the 157 Infantry. And after war, in 1945, it was around May, I guess, about a month after war ended, they shipped me back home. I was discharged from service at 45.
Okay, let's go back. Okay. Go back. First gentleman.
Where do you want me to pick up from?
I think from the time you went into service and you went overseas and the outfit you were in.
Okay, I mentioned that.
Right. And when did you first go to the concentration camps? And see that?
That's basically what you're interested in.
Yes, sir.
Not the previous stuff, no.
Yeah, because that's that can come
Yeah,
in.
like I shot the bird and all that kind of stuff, you know.
Whatever you want to say for yourself is okay, but that's for me. Whatever you want to say for yourself. Remember, this is for you too. This is for you. And what I'm saying now is I'm there.
Okay. On April 29th, we were outside of the city of Dhaka, and we were given instructions because I was at the TFC, so I didn't have any specific knowledge of exactly what we were going to do or where we were going. Then we were told by one of the sergeants later that we were going to take a concentration camp and outside the city of Dhaka. Well, at that time, to me, the city of Dhaka was just another town that we were going to take, and the concentration camp was just another prison camp. We thought it was something. No one in the world ever prepared anybody to really cope with what we were going about to see anyhow. And so it first started, I don't know if I remember correctly, we were going to cross some bridges, and they said the bridges were blown, getting through there. So we were with tanks, piggybacking on tanks, and I know I had a lot of loot in my gas mask bag, like watches and things like that, light camera, food and all that. And I left it on the tank because we knew we weren't going to be able to leave the tank. So the tanker lieutenant said that he would take care of this stuff for us much quicker. As you can understand, I mean, it was just hitting him. But then the next recollection I recall, we went into the town of Dhaka briefly, and then we're told we're going to do a diversion. And sticks in my crawl, we finally crossed like a railroad bridge or something. It was partially blown, and we could still get across. We went all across by foot. Next thing I remember is coming up into this area where the railroad tracks that had separated an area with a lot of trees. And looking through it, and all of a sudden we start seeing box cars. once we got to the boxcars, there was about 39 or 40 of them, something like that. I call them boxcars, they were all kind of traction cars. They looked like some of them were, got older than they cut off each time. There was bodies strewn everywhere, in the cars, outside the cars, piled on top of each other, very emaciated, but they're all dead. Many of them with their eyes still open. And many times I think back on this situation and what we saw there. And I often think of these guys with their eyes wide open just looking at you as if to say, what took you so long? And it's always stuck in my mind, even after 50 years later. But at that point, the men became very incensed. Silence was deafening at first. And all of a sudden, one guy hollered, let's get their son of a bitch. And somebody else said, kill every one of those goddamn men. And then you start hearing expressions like that. And first, at 19 years old, you know, I was never prepared for anything like this. And we've been through a good bit of battles, especially Schaufelberg, Schweinheim, where we were fighting from house to house, room to room, seeing guys load cars, seeing guys on fire, seeing guys with their heads blown off and everything else, but you know, that becomes part of war. And but you're never prepared to see hundreds and hundreds of bodies like this, starved to death, and look like the machine gun zone that was just thrown all over the place. And at that point, my men became very incensed, and even our officers were upset. And I think there wasn't a guy there that I can recall who didn't have flowing tears in his eyes and literally crying. And nobody was prepared for what we saw. Nobody. We couldn't train somebody to understand. Probably the one movement.
Yes, sir. Can you speak up slightly, sir?
Oh yeah, well my voice is
No problem. No problem.
the next area we moved from those cars finally.
Can you hold a minute if that's bothering you?
Okay. After the episode, the boxcars, everyone, as I say, were very, very angry, very upset, very emotional. And we approached the next area, we approached the hospital building. And Lieutenant Walsh and Lieutenant Bushing had ordered us all into the hospital to clear the area. And we brought everybody out of the hospital to walk. And which was most of the people, quite a few of them were Watson SS who actually dressed up as someone who had been, you know, ill, put bandages on themselves, try to fake injuries, hoping it would move them outside. We brought all those guys out, and everybody was searched, everybody was lined up. Lieutenant Bushy had ordered myself and two other men back into the hospital to make sure that everybody was cleared out of there. And a funny little episode happened there. Bob McDonald and I went in with George Larson, and George Larson was clearing one part of the hospital, and he took Bob and I together. When we come back looking for him, we couldn't find him. We finally found him in bed with the German nurse. So I told him, sweetie, let's go, we gotta get going. He said, get the hell out of here. So I said it to him again, pulled his 45 out. He said, pretty boy, you know, get your ass out of here, I'm gonna blow it off. And so I left. You know, we gotta do too. We went outside again, reported that we cleared the whole area through things that the bushy had. And just about that time, a lot of commotion going on. And the first thing I heard was a lot of noise and screaming around the side of the hospital. Cold water. And I think that's competition.
Can you guys just work just for about, give me about 5-10 minutes? Is that okay? No problem. Thanks.
And there was a lot of commotion around the side of the building and screaming. So Bob McDonald and I went around to see what was going on. And two inmates, some of the inmates that had been working at the hospital had taken shovels and were beating this medic's head. And this guy had a white coat on, and just blood was everywhere. And so we stopped him. And the one guy tried to explain to us that he was Polish. He kept saying something like Polish or Polish. And he was trying to tell us what this guy did or what he was involved with. And we couldn't understand him, so finally he dropped his pen. And we could see he'd been castrated. We tried to make him understand that this guy was involved somehow. And they wanted to continue, but we stopped him. And made those guys move away from him. And next day, then we moved on, marched the troops down the road, and Lieutenant Walsh had the Waffen that separated from the other people, the medics and the regular soldiers, I recall. And we moved the Waffen up to the famous wall in the coal yard. And there's a lot of stories about this area. And, some people want you to believe there was 122, 125, 150 people at that wall. That's not true. Because I was there, and Lieutenant Walsh was there. There were several others there to verify that. There wasn't over 60. There was more than that. I know it was over 60 men at that wall. And they were all lined up against the wall. And I was ordered by Lieutenant Walsh, since I had a VAR, to stand guard on him. He said to me, and try to get away, shoot him. And then there was a couple of riflemen there. And he ordered them to stay there too. And just about that time, of course, it was very frightening because he was, in a way, that all these SS and the reputation of the SS. And at the same time, being very angry, but still cautious of the fact that these men are still killers and known to be killers. Being a 19-year-old kid, I was scared as hell standing there when that thing, something might happen. Next thing I know is Lieutenant Walsh ordered the M company machine gun up there, and they set up a machine gun. And my feeling has always been talking about this thing with many people. Lieutenant Walsh did tell us that they try to get away and shoot him. And my feeling is that when the M company, as I saw him do this, the M company machine gunner got an ammo out of the can, and he put his belt in, and when he pulled that thing, put it in, put the flash down, and pulled that thing back to cotton, they're ready for fire. I think that these troops, these SSers, were frightened that we were going to shoot them outright. It wouldn't take as much for us to do it anyway. So they all started moving forward. And to this day, I don't know who said it. And people, and when I was interrogated, they tried to ask me if Lieutenant Walsh said it, and I was ready to say I don't know who said it. So somebody hollered fire, they're trying to get away or something like that. We opened up a short burst. And at that time, the short burst of the machine gun opened up too. And at that time, the Lieutenant Colonel sparked. And he shoved the machine gun over, and he's a little hell with it. Okay. The next thing is, I realized then what had occurred, but I do know to be a fact, for those 60 men, at least half of them sat back up or stood up again. And I thought there was even more there. I doubted there was even close to 30 killed. Myself personally, not at that time.
Now, I want to know what was it like when you went into the concentration camp, coming into the chambers involved?
Well, I didn't see the chambers myself. I saw the crematory area.
So what was it like going in there for you?
Well, it was just, there was another pile of bodies right outside the thing. I didn't go into the chamber itself because after we finished, after the shooting episode, I moved back up in towards the compound then, where they had the main camp. And then we had to get the guards out of the towers.
Now, did you go into the, where they had the so-called top prisoners where Leopold was and where
The main compound.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Do you see any of those special?
Well, when you're a GI, nobody's special. They were all just people.
Right.
They're all faces. And they're all faces that were emaciated, scabby, dirty. And these guys were, some of these inmates that we relieved at the hospital were coming up hugging us and kissing us and got off their feeling. To see these things, because they were nothing but bones when they tried to squeeze you, I thought you could feel the bones. Their faces were such that all these scabs had got to, you felt like, you know, you had some kind of disease messing you up. It was pretty horrible. It was like the worst thing I've ever seen. But then, when we got to the compound, we relieved got all the guards out of the towers with the help of some of the inmates who were with us. They had picked up some German technologists and wanted to help us clear the guards to towers. So we're glad we let them do that. But then we had to take the guns away from them afterwards because we had a lot of them lined up at the moat there to search German soldiers. And a couple of the inmates with their rifles flooded them into the moat with the water and then shot them. And a couple of the GIs did the same thing. So we took the rifles away from the inmates. And I guess calm got restored. I don't know who was there at the time. Lieutenant Walsh wasn't immediately in front of us, so I think it might have been Bushy or somebody else who was there at the time. We got a quarter restored there next to us. And then we were set around the border to stand around the perimeter of the compound, being guarded, but there's nobody out of that compound. And my next recollection was when General Lindsay was in, which I didn't know who it was at the time. And I was standing quite a distance away, maybe 50 or 60 yards, and I saw the chief come in and everything. Of course, I didn't know there was a woman there because she was dressed up in GI clothes too, so you wouldn't know man or woman or anything else. And then there was some commotion down at the gate there. I wasn't really directly involved. Found out later that it wasn't General Lindsay. I did see him swing around with his riding crop and his GI on the head of it. I know Colonel Sparks got into a conversation later. I didn't know what the whole conversation was about. But I did see General Sparks pull out his 45. And the next thing I noticed, my Lyndon was leaving. But then we were standing guard there for quite a while before they had I remember that place was electrified. They had to get the current off, bottom wire. And I remember one inmate there to make sure the electric was off, took a rabbit and threw it on the bottom wire. And it probably was crazy. And of course the current was off then, so they became very happy people. But I remember one thing, looking back on it too, there was an awful lot of guys, or inmates you should say, they were so frail that when they came out of those huts, when they realized that we were Americans coming, that they could hardly walk. Some of them really fell right in their tracks. You know, it was very, very upsetting to see these men just dying in their tracks. The sad part about it is two guys who candy bars did it all. And we heard later that some of these people died when they came here. You had no idea what was going to happen. But then we were, as the order was restored, my job was the day I was in the PFC and squad. We were ordered to, by our platoon commander, to start clearing some of the buildings. We did that. Cleared quite a few of the buildings, clearing some of the officers' homes. The next move we had was really to, after we finished all those, was to guard the bakery that day. And after the night, I guess it was probably the most horrible night of my life. The most horrible night of any few of our guys.
What happened that night?
Well, we had time to think. We had time to recollect what was all what happened. And there wasn't a guy who ate his rations, that day, the K rations or anything. Matter of fact, most of them were throwing up with between the smell of the flour and the building, soy things, bread things, and the stench of the whole area. There wasn't a steam that day. Guys were literally crying. I've spent one man who was about 30-some years old, was almost in the station in Walsh. He was crying aloud, almost screaming. But a lot of sick fellas. I don't think there was a guy that didn't cry that night, and I know there wasn't a man who cried all.
Well, I'd like to go on Lieutenant Walsh. Lieutenant Walsh?
Yes,
I'd like to ask questions here. You guys have known each other a day and a quarter, haven't you? You two gentlemen.
Well, he was the CEO.
He was the CEO.
Right, so I appreciate you being here. Would you like to carry on from what he said and anything that you want to say on this videotape, sir?
well, I have to request just to listen.
No problem.
I'm out of, we're on the way, with the cavalry up to Camp Shanks,
Yes, sir.
and on the way we go past the camp the army was running for German prisoners of war. They were in there playing soccer, and eventually get on the Hudson River, go down to the harbor and load up on the Queen Elizabeth, absolutely gorgeous big British ship. 16,000 people. We were, for the most part, it was no organized unit. We were all replacements for somebody or other. I had a packet at that time of 200 men. We took off from New York Harbor across on this boat, just to show you how ancient. There was a comedian on this Queen Elizabeth. We had, I think, 2 meals a day. And for the most part, they had to stand up and eat at these big tables. But the comedian on the board that was going over to entertain troops was Oscar Yates. Most people never heard of him today, but he happened to be fairly popular in some areas in those days. But anyway, we landed in Greenock and Gorg, up in Scotland. Took the train from there, met a lot of kids on the way. They were all running around, any gum chum, that kind of stuff. And you just can't help but run across kids in any situation if you're in the uniform and something. Down to England, to a camp in the border of Wales and Chester, and we were ensconced there for about a month or so. The invasion had already been conducted. A lot of the troops that had been involved in the invasion were jumpers and skydivers and what have you, and a lot of them had come back, and some of them were still working around the camp. They used to rent us bicycles and we'd go touring around that end of Britain. Eventually, they were calling us out 20, 25 at a time and shipping us over to France. Eventually, we were scooped and we were sent to a port on the east side and got on a boat called the Cape Good Hope. It was a British ship, beautiful thing. Across the channel, went over the side at Omaha Beach, where the Americans had landed. There was no fighting at Omaha Beach at the time. They were way up around St. Paul, getting close to Paris at this time. And Omaha Beach actually was a kind of an area, we had to stay there for a couple of days. And of course, we're all living in pup tents. Those are the little tents.